This first Facebook confession comes from Lindsay, who said her divorce pact with her friend went horribly wrong. This post is so outrageous that over 900 people in this small group reacted to it. I did mushrooms in Amsterdam 6 months ago and saw my ex-husband's face, and it has really messed me up. Something broke open in that hostel room and now I can't close it, and I'm angry about it because I was fine before that trip. I was moving on, I was building something, and one stupid night in a hostel with strangers ruined 6 months of progress, and now I can't stop thinking about a man who won't even look at me. I married James when I was 25, and he was good, but an idiot. He never pushed back on anything, not once in 2 years. I'd say something he disagreed with, and he'd go quiet. I'd try to start a real conversation, and he'd say, "Yeah, I see what you mean," and change the subject. He never fought with me, never challenged me. I used to pick fights just to see if he'd show up, and he never did. He'd just wait for me to calm down and ask if I wanted to order food. That's a man who's afraid of his own wife. Already sounds like she's the instigator. He was terrible in bed and would snore awfully loudly. I wanted to sleep in separate rooms, but he was insistent that it was like breaking up. I hated that he played video games after work. It's such a childish thing to do. It would annoy me so much when I'd hear him laughing with his friends. I could go on and on about all the annoying habits he had. Then he brought up kids, and I could see it, all of it. The house, minivan, school runs. The same town, the same everything, but now, with a baby chaining me to it, which probably would have his massive nose. His friends would call him a dirty Jew, and he'd just take it. He was talking about nursery colours, and I was thinking, if I do this, I'm done. This is it forever, and he wasn't going to get richer. She probably saw his nose and expected he'd be chasing dollars all his life. Now she's triggered by it because she's not on a private jet. He wasn't going to get more ambitious. When we met, he had plans, but his biggest plan was what to grill on Saturday. I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for a man who was going somewhere, and he stopped going anywhere. Mia was my best friend. Married to David. Same situation. Stable and boring. Nice and predictable. We'd go for wine on Thursdays and vent about our lives. Is this it? Is this what we signed up for? Are we really going to be these women who never did anything? It became our whole thing. The shared frustration that got bigger every week. One Thursday, after too much wine, Mia said, "What if we both just left? Same time, together, not alone. We'd have each other, travel together, apartment together, reset together." And something clicked because that was what scared me. Not leaving, being alone after leaving. But if we both did it, then it wasn't me blowing up my life. It was us choosing something better. Brave when it's two, crazy when it's one. May as well date each other as well at that point. We planned it for weeks. Apartments, budgets and travel. She wanted Bali and I wanted Europe. We said both. Set a date, same month, clean breaks. We practiced what we'd say to our husbands. Called it the reset. And yeah, looking back, Mia asked things I didn't want to hear. She said once, "Are you sure this isn't a phase?" She said, "What if we regret it?" I told her to stop being scared and she went quiet. I went first. James brought up kids again and I just said it. I want a divorce. His face. I'll never forget his face. He asked if there's someone else. I said no. He said why. I said I'm not happy. He asked about therapy. I said no, because I didn't want to fix it. I wanted out. Therapy would have just made the cage nicer. He moved out within a month, signed everything, didn't fight, didn't beg, packed boxes on a Saturday and drove away. Even leaving he didn't push back, just accepted it like he accepts everything. I called Mia and said I did it. Your turn. Mia said she needed 1 more week, then 2 weeks. Then David planned a trip and the timing was bad. Then David's mum was sick. Then she stopped talking about it. I'd bring it up and she changed the subject. I'd say, "Mia, we had a plan," and she'd say, I know. 2 months after my divorce, Mia told me she's staying with David, said they talked, said she was going through a phase, said she loves him and wants to make it work. Then she said, "I hope you understand." Mia didn't betray you. She asked you if it was a phase. She asked you what if we regret it. You told her to stop being scared. You steamrolled her, and then when she came to her senses, you got mad at her for not jumping off a cliff with you. I blew up my entire life because we had a deal. We shook on it. We planned it together. She watched me go first and then stood there and watched me fall and decided, actually, I'm good. That's not a friend. That's someone who used me as a guinea pig. She wanted to see what it looked like before she did it, and when she saw me eating cereal alone in a studio, she thought, no thanks. I will hate her for that until I die. I don't care. I will never forgive her. She could show up at my door crying, and I'd close it in her face. She's pregnant now. Saw her on Instagram before I blocked her. The life she almost threw away. The life I told her to throw away. She's now trapped with a man that she doesn't love, raising an ugly child that I'm sure she doesn't love either. That baby's going to be bald by 20, just like his daddy. I hope she wakes up every morning by stepping on one of the kids' toys. After the divorce, I travelled. I posted everything. It looked incredible, and the first month was great. I felt free, walking through new cities thinking this is it. This is what I was missing. Then the first month ended. The second month got quieter. The third month I was watching couples eat dinner in hostels, pretending I liked eating alone. Freedom is great until it's Tuesday night, and nobody expects you home, and your phone doesn't ring, and the silence stops being peace and starts being just silence. Amsterdam broke me. Mushrooms with strangers in a hostel. An hour in, and James is in my head. Not the boring stuff. The stuff I threw away. The way he rubbed my back when I couldn't sleep. The 4-hour drive in the rain because I called him crying over something stupid. The way he looked at me in the morning like he won the lottery. I'm sobbing in Amsterdam surrounded by people I met 2 hours ago because I destroyed the only person who ever loved me like that for what? Leaving your husband for some fun and regretting it within a few months is diabolical. I tried to reach out when I got home. Went to his work and he saw me through the window and turned around. Didn't even come outside. Even in that moment, he's still the same man. Won't confront anything. Won't fight. Just turns away. And I still don't know if that makes me miss him or if that's the exact thing that made me leave. I'm dating someone now, Richard, and I'm going to be honest because lying about it won't change anything. Richard is not the same. He's not as smart. He's not as attractive. He tells jokes that aren't funny and laughs at them himself. He works in retail management and he's fine with it. He deserves someone who looks at him the way James looked at me. He doesn't get that. After 8 months of being single, I learned something. The men who want to settle down are taken. They got scooped up. What's left is Richard, and I know that's cruel. But I'm 29 and I burned 2 good years and a man who would have given me everything because some wine-drunk Thursday night pact with a woman who didn't even follow through made me think I deserved more than nice. Just settle with the boring guy, ladies. Live it up in your early 20s and don't panic at 30. Making a divorce pact with your friend is a crazy idea in the first place. She should have seen the signs that her friend was going to back out. Natalie is even worse as she was actively cheating on her boyfriend while also trying to secretly build a new life. She starts by saying, "My boyfriend found my secret storage unit because I handed him the box. I didn't even look at it. He asked me to help clean the garage and I grabbed it and said, 'Here, this is your old stuff.' And he opened it right there and pulled out a lease agreement with my name on it for a unit 10 minutes away. He looked at me and said, 'What is this?' And my brain just shut off. 8 months of planning gone because I picked up the wrong box on a Saturday. I've been with Troy for 3 years. He's a good boyfriend in the way that people describe someone when there's nothing else to say. He stopped trying after year 1, stopped planning anything, stopped making me feel like being with me was something he was excited about. I'd get dressed up and he'd say, 'You look nice,' the same way you'd say, 'Nice weather.' About 8 months ago I met someone at my gym. This guy talked to me. He was so confident and I noticed other girls at the gym staring at him. I was surprised when he was talking to me, but that's probably because Troy had basically been ignoring me for the past couple years. Things move fast with the gym guy. His name is Aiden. We started sleeping together about 6 months ago, and yeah, I know what that is, but I was already gone from Troy in my head. The relationship was over. Aiden kept saying he wanted us to be together for real. Said he couldn't stand sharing me. Talked about getting a place. Not someday. Soon. After the summer. Once his work thing is figured out. Just a few more months. And I believed him, because when someone holds you and says I want a life with you, I don't know how you're supposed to not believe that. I don't understand anyone that wants to date someone who is actively cheating on their boyfriend or girlfriend. They'll probably end up cheating on you as well. But he wasn't ready yet. And I wasn't leaving Troy with nowhere to go. I've seen what happens to women who jump before the next thing is solid. You end up on your mom's couch starting over at 28. I wasn't doing that. I needed to know where I was landing. So I got the storage unit. It started small. A bag of clothes Troy wouldn't notice. Some shoes. Then books. Then my grandmother's dishes that I was not leaving behind. Then documents. Then more clothes. I'd take a bag when I went to the gym and swing by the unit on the way home. I started buying things for the apartment Aiden and I were going to have. A throw blanket. Candles. Towels I loved but couldn't justify for a place I shared with Troy. That's weirdly rude. Not buying those nice towels for her current boyfriend, but buying it in preparation for the gym bro. I had a whole setup in the corner. I used to sit in there sometimes after dropping stuff off and just look at it and think, this is my future. I just have to wait a little longer. Aiden knew about the unit. He thought it was smart. Said it showed I was serious. Said most women just talk about leaving, but I was doing it. He kept saying soon. Every time I asked, he'd say, "Soon, babe, I'm working on it." Then Troy opened the box. He read the lease. Read my name. Read the address. His face changed. He said, "How long?" I said, "A few months." Then he found the card. A birthday card from Aiden. "Can't wait to start our life together," with a heart. I forgot it was in there. I forgot I put it with the documents because I wanted to keep it safe. I think he already had a hunch and noticed things were missing around the house. I didn't think he knew about Aiden, but the way he clicked on fast made me think he's been snooping around. I said, let me explain. He said, there's nothing to explain. You have a storage unit and a man. I said, this is my apartment too. He said, your name's not on the lease. I said, half my stuff is here. He said, it's not though, is it? He was right. I'd moved so much out that what was left was mostly his. I couldn't even argue. I'd packed myself out of my own life without realizing it. He gave me an hour, watched me pack what was left, didn't help, stood in the kitchen with his arms crossed. I called Aiden from the parking lot, said Troy found out, I need to come over. And there was this pause, this long, horrible pause, and he said, that's not going to work right now. I said, what? He said his roommate situation. I said, so tell him I'm staying a few days. He said it's not a good time. I said, Aiden, I have nowhere to go. He said, can you call a friend or something? He said soon for 8 months, and when soon arrived, he said, call a friend. The storage unit isn't the saddest part of the story. You are. Can you call a friend? The man who said he wanted to wake up next to me every day. Can you call a friend? I tried 2 more times that week. He needed to figure things out. The timing was bad. He wasn't set up for someone to move in. This is the man who talked about our apartment, who said soon for 8 months, who told me I was serious because I had a storage unit, and when it mattered, he told me to call a friend. So I slept in the storage unit. I'm not being dramatic. I slept there. Air mattress from Walmart, a concrete box with no windows. I showered at the gym, changed in the locker room, charged my phone in my car, gas station food for a week because I couldn't cook and couldn't afford restaurants because half my money had been going into building a life that doesn't exist. Surrounded by candles and towels and a throw blanket for an apartment I'm never going to live in, with a birthday card from a man who wouldn't let me sleep on his couch. You built a little dream home in a concrete box and then had to sleep in it. The universe has a sense of humor and you are the punchline. People keep asking why I didn't just break up with Troy first, and the answer is, Aiden wasn't locked in. He kept saying soon, and soon never came. Troy was boring, but he was stable. He was there. I was going to stay until Aiden was ready and then make a clean switch. And Aiden texts me now, says he misses me, says he's sorry about how it went down, says he's almost ready, always almost, and I know I should tell him to go to hell. I know that, but he's the only person talking to me. I'm on a co-worker's couch now. My stuff is still in the unit. I went there yesterday to get a jacket, and I just sat down on the air mattress and stayed for an hour. As you can see, life has been rough for me. If anyone lives in the Bay Area and has a room or a couch I can use, then please let me know. I can't believe this entire post was her trying to get sympathy and find a free place to stay on Facebook. The comments are ripping into her and saying she deserved what she got. Kayla said, I would let you crash at mine, but I have a boyfriend, and based on your track record, I'd come home from work and find a lease agreement with your name on it and a birthday card from my man in a box. Meanwhile, Renee's post left me speechless after she confessed to cheating with her husband's brother. The father of my child moved to Australia 3 months ago and hasn't called once. Not once. His own son. He got on a plane and left like we were something he could just fly away from. Somehow every single person in my life is acting like this is my fault. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has something to say. But nobody is saying the obvious thing, which is that 2 grown men exposed me to the worst situation of my life, and then both of them walked away, and I'm the one left holding the baby in a literal sense. Save your retarded opinions to yourself in the comments. Calling the commenters retarded is not a great start. You weren't in my marriage. You weren't living my life. You don't know what it's like to spend years with someone who makes you feel like you don't exist and then act surprised when you go find someone who makes you feel like you do. I didn't wake up one day and decided to blow up my life. I was pushed there by a man who couldn't be bothered to try. I got married at 26, and before anyone starts, I didn't trap him. He pursued me. He asked me out. He proposed. He wanted this. Everyone said he was the right choice. So I said yes a little young, because that's what you're supposed to do when a good man wants you. You say yes and you build a life. But he wasn't the one I wanted, and I'm just being honest. I always had a crush on his brother as well. The first time I met them both, it was the brother I noticed, but he said he wasn't looking for anything serious, so I went with the safe one. I made the responsible choice, and this is where the responsible choice got me. 3 years in, and my marriage was dead. My husband came home every night and sat on the couch and asked what's for dinner, and that was our life. I told him I was unhappy. He said we're fine. I said I need more. He said like what? I said anything. He didn't change, didn't try, didn't do one thing differently. When his brother Caleb started coming around more and we started talking and I started feeling things I hadn't felt in years. I'm sorry, but what did my husband expect? You can't ignore your wife for 3 years and then be shocked when she finds someone who pays attention. That's cause and effect. Ben made that bed. I just stopped lying in it alone. Having a boring and stable life does not mean you can go out and cheat on your spouse. Caleb and I went on for almost a year, and it wasn't just physical. He was so hot. The relationship was all lust initially, but as I got to know him, I really fell for him. But then I got pregnant. I knew it was Caleb's. Ben and I barely slept together at that point. Maybe once in 2 months. The math wasn't there. I knew right away. Cheating on your husband is one thing, but getting pregnant is the work of the devil. I didn't say anything. I let Ben believe it was his. Watched him get excited. Watched him talk to my stomach. He cried, and that was hard because he was so happy and he had no idea. But what was I supposed to do? Tell him while I'm pregnant? Blow everything up with a baby on the way? I kept quiet to protect everyone, including him. He got to have those months of being happy and excited, and that's more than he would have gotten if I'd said something. Now she's acting like she's the good guy. Caleb panicked when I told him. Said we have to stop. Said it can't come out. So we stopped. He came to the hospital when the baby was born, held his own son, called him little man, handed him back to Ben, and said, "You're going to be a great dad." Everyone thought it was sweet. Uncle Caleb. What a guy. There were nights I almost told Ben. I'd lie there and think, just say it. Wake him up and say it. But I'd talk myself out of it every time. A year went by. The baby turned 1. Ben threw a party. Caleb came, bought this expensive stuffed bear, played with him the whole time, carried him around, and they have the same face. I kept waiting for someone to see it. Nobody did. I guess because they're brothers, nobody guessed it. So eventually I told Ben, set him down, said the baby might not be yours, said it's Caleb. He stared at me, asked how long. I said almost a year, asked how long I'd known about the baby. I said since the beginning. He went to the bedroom and cried for 2 hours. A test confirmed it. He moved out the same week, told his whole family. They cut Caleb off. Ben filed for divorce, which I didn't fight because I didn't want him anyway. I hadn't loved him in years. I wanted Caleb. That was the whole point of telling the truth. Here's what was supposed to happen. Caleb had nothing left. Family cut him off. Secret was out. Nothing stopping him. He was supposed to step up. Come to me. Say let's do this for real. A crazy plan for a small payoff. Lose stability and gain a man that sleeps with his own brother's wife. She's really picking a winner here. I went to his apartment, said what are we going to do? He stared at the floor, said he needs time. I said time for what? He said I don't know. I said this is your son Caleb. He said I know. 2 weeks later, a friend told me he took a job in Melbourne. Didn't tell me, didn't say goodbye to his son, just left the country. Who would have guessed he ends up being a deadbeat dad? You could have seen that from Mars. 3 months. I've texted. He reads them. Nothing. Sent photos of the baby. Read. Nothing. Called from a different number. He picked up. Heard my voice. Said, please don't call me again. Hung up. His own son's mother. Please don't call me again. Like I'm a telemarketer. So now I'm a single mom. 1 income. No apartment because I gave mine up when I married Ben. No savings because a baby is expensive. My parents help, but my mom has made it very clear she thinks I deserve this. Thanks, Mom. Caleb is the biggest coward I've ever met. He only wanted me when it was secret, when it was easy, when he could hold his son for an hour and hand him back and go home to his quiet apartment. The second it got hard, he got on a plane. Didn't go to another city, another continent. That's how fast he wanted away from his own child. I told the truth. Nobody else was going to. That's because only 2 of you knew, and the other person is just as much of a terrible person. Ben would still be raising a kid that isn't his if I didn't speak up. Caleb would still be playing uncle at birthday parties. I'm the one who had the guts to blow it up, and my reward is an empty apartment and a baby who's going to ask one day why his dad lives on the other side of the world. I've thought about going to Australia. I've looked at flights, not to beg. I don't beg. But that's my son's father, and he doesn't get to disappear because it's hard. He made this baby too. I didn't do it alone, but I'm the only one paying for it. That baby's going to get fed a completely twisted version of events and never know the actual truth. The comments are actually giving her some empathy, which was shocking to me. Samantha's entire girlfriend group lacks empathy apparently. My best friend slept with my ex 2 weeks after I broke up with him because she told me to. That fat bitch told me to leave him. She helped me write the breakup text. She sat on my couch with wine and said you deserve better. And then she slept with him before the wine stain was out of my carpet. I didn't even make her pay for the wine stain to be cleaned up. I'm not a racist person, but she could turn me into one. Strong start from her. Telling everyone you're almost turning into a racist is a good way to get everyone on your side. But I have this friend group. There were 5 of us, all single except me, and when I first started dating Toby, they were great about it. They were excited. They wanted details. They said he sounds amazing. They said I deserved this. Leah specifically said, this one's a keeper. The problem started when they met him. It wasn't one thing. It was a build. They'd make little comments when he was around. inside jokes he wasn't part of, references to guys I'd talked to before him. One time we were all at dinner and my friend Natasha brought up a guy from my past and started laughing about some story, and Toby just went quiet. He didn't say anything at dinner, but in the car he said, "I don't like how your friends talk around me." I said, "They're just like that." He said, "Like what?" I said, "They joke around." He said that wasn't a joke, that was disrespectful, and he wasn't wrong. Looking back, he wasn't wrong about any of it. But at the time I thought he was being sensitive. I thought he needed to loosen up. My friends had been in my life for years. He'd been here 6 months. I thought he needed to adjust to them, not the other way around. But they kept going. They'd bring up things from nights out I had before him. They'd talk about other guys in front of him. They'd make comments about how they could never date someone who did whatever Toby did for work. They'd say things like, "I could never be tied down right now," while looking at me like I was the example of what not to do. And they did this thing where they'd ask me to go out on nights. They knew Toby and I had plans. And then when I'd say I can't, they'd say, "Oh right, you have to check with your boyfriend." I didn't have to check with anyone. I just had plans. But they made it sound like I was on a leash. Toby started being honest about them, not behind their backs. He said, "Your friends are not good people." He said, "They don't want you to be happy because they're not happy." He said, "Every time you come back from seeing them, you're worse, more anxious and more insecure, picking fights with me about things that weren't problems before you left. Single women make other women single." I also thought, that's my boyfriend telling me who I can and can't hang out with, and that's a red flag. That's controlling. That's what every article and every podcast says. If a man tries to separate you from your friends, that's a warning sign. So I pushed back. I told him he doesn't get to choose my friends. I told him he needs to try harder with them. I told him if he loved me, he'd make it work. He said, "I do love you. That's why I'm telling you what I see." I didn't listen. The girls kept at it. Every Thursday wine night turned into a therapy session about my relationship. They'd ask me things like, "Does he let you go out whenever you want? Does he check your phone? Does he get jealous?" They planted seeds. They asked questions that had obvious answers and made me feel like the answers were wrong. Then Toby said he didn't want me hanging out with them anymore. He said, "I know you're going to hear this as controlling, but I'm asking you to look at what happens every time you see them. You come home upset. You start fights. You doubt us. And then we spend 2 days fixing what they broke in 4 hours." He said, "I can't keep doing this. I feel bad for this guy." The same issue happens a lot where other people affect a relationship. I brought it up to the girls, told them what he said, and they lost it. You definitely had to stop going to them for advice. They were the ones creating the problems. Leah said that's textbook manipulation. They were so sure, all of them. 5 against 1, and I believed them because they'd been in my life for 7 years, and he'd been here for 6 months. It felt like the math was obvious, so I broke up with them. They were so supportive and so happy for me. Said I did the right thing. Said I'd find someone better. Said this is the first day of the rest of your life. I cried that night, and Leah slept over and told me it gets easier. 2 weeks later, I found out that Leah and Toby had hooked up in secret, but she had a big mouth and told the group because they all love drama. Our friendship was completely ruined. This woman sat on my couch and told me to dump him. She said he was toxic. She said he was controlling. She said I deserved better, and then 2 weeks later she's at a bar with him doing the thing she told me he wasn't good enough for. I told the friend group it was her or me, and they picked her. Not out loud. Nobody ever says it out loud. They just stopped inviting me. The group chat got quiet. Thursday wine nights happened without me. I found out from Instagram. 4 of them at our usual place. 7 years of friendship. Gone over a man they told me to leave, and a hookup that lasted 1 night with a guy who didn't even want her. I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have friends. None of it is my fault. If she had some cognitive thinking, she'd realize that she built her bed. She doesn't deserve having her friends sleep with her ex though. Meanwhile, Nicole is regretting leaving her stable boyfriend after she tries dating again. After my 100th failed date in the last 6 months, it made me think about my ex-boyfriend again. It was his fault the relationship ended because he didn't want to grow with me. I even stayed with him when he left his ball hair in the bathtub and forgot to get rid of it. So don't ever question my loyalty to this man. About 8 months ago, something changed for me. Not overnight, but enough that people around me started noticing. I started taking the gym seriously. Like actually serious. Not just showing up and walking on a treadmill. I was waking up early, tracking everything, hitting glutes twice a week, meal prepping even when I didn't feel like it. It became part of my routine. My body changed a lot. I'm shocked I'm not more famous because it really grew. Some girls feed their entire families with their ass. She's not wrong about that. I'm not going to downplay that to sound humble because what's the point? Even people at work who literally never compliment anyone started saying things like, "You look different lately." So obviously I noticed too. And it wasn't just physical, it was a mindset. Discipline, the way I carried myself, I just felt better. More aware of what I bring, I guess. which is where the problem started, because at home, nothing else was changing. Same habits, same energy, same level of effort, just comfortable. And I'm sorry, but there's a point where comfortable starts to feel lazy if the other person is actually trying to grow. I didn't say anything at first. I'm not the type to nitpick every little thing, but there was this one specific shift I made, not in a toxic way, just something I thought would naturally create a little awareness. I pulled back a bit, not dramatically, not to punish him, just stopped being as available in certain ways. I feel like when everything is always there, people stop appreciating it. That's just reality. This sounds like a healthy relationship. She grew her glutes, then sounds like she held back from intimacy to motivate him. Instead of understanding that and stepping up, he reacted in a way I honestly didn't expect. He got clingy, like really clingy, always touching me, always trying to initiate things, acting like nothing had changed, and it didn't feel genuine. It felt reactive, like he was trying to hold on to something instead of actually improving. Of course he's more touchy, you grew your butt. At the same time, I had started posting more online, not for attention, people always jump to that, but just documenting progress. And yes, I got attention, a lot of it. Messages, compliments, guys actually putting in effort in conversations. I'm sorry, but when your own boyfriend isn't giving you their energy and random people are, you're going to notice. Anyone would. You literally said he was giving you more attention though. I even mentioned it to him at one point. Not to hurt him, just to be transparent. Like, this is the kind of energy I'm getting. This is what's out there. I thought maybe it would motivate him. Instead, he got insecure, which is where I started feeling like I was outgrowing the relationship. I talked to my friends about it, not in a biased way. I literally explained everything, and they all said the same thing, that I had leveled up and he hadn't. One of them actually said, "You're dating potential, not reality," and I haven't been able to unhear that since. So I made another small change. I stopped initiating completely. Again, not to be toxic. I just didn't want to keep rewarding the same version of him. I feel like that's fair. If anything, I was giving him space to step up, but instead he started pulling away. Shockingly, the toxic strategy ended up backfiring, which made no sense to me, because if you care about someone, wouldn't that make you try harder, not less? Around that time, yes, I did start talking to other people. Nothing serious, just conversations, and before anyone jumps on that, I think it's normal to be aware of your options when something feels off. And honestly, some of those guys were more aligned with the life I see for myself. More driven, more focused, just different energy, which made things at home feel even more off. When he finally confronted me about being distant, I told him the truth, that I needed more, that I was trying to help him grow, that I wasn't the same person anymore. Then that's when the real issue happened. You just admitted you were emotionally cheating on him. I wouldn't be shocked if it turned out to not be only emotionally. He basically said he felt like he had to earn basic affection from me. That's where I still don't agree, because I never removed affection completely. I just stopped giving it so freely when nothing else was improving. There's a difference, and I feel like people are going to purposely misunderstand that. After that, he just shut down. No effort, no affection, nothing. Completely cold, and it honestly felt manipulative, like he was trying to flip things and make me feel guilty for having standards. And then one day, completely out of nowhere, he ended it. No argument, no emotion, just said he didn't want to be in a relationship where he felt like he had to earn basic things. At the time, I wasn't even that upset. If anything, I felt relieved. Like, okay, now I can actually find someone on my level. So I moved on, got on the apps, updated my profile properly. Of course I put my ass all over it because I need to stand out. I got a lot of matches, like instantly. So clearly I wasn't wrong about my value. But here's where it gets confusing. It's been about 6 months and almost every single guy either just wants something casual, or they come on strong and then disappear, or they talk like they're ambitious and then you realize it's all surface level. I've had one decent date this entire time. One. And now I'm sitting here trying to understand how I can objectively be bringing more to the table than I was before, but the quality of what I'm getting back is somehow worse. Welcome back to the dating market. It wasn't the fantasy you were expecting. Everyone says men want a woman who's disciplined, takes care of herself, knows her worth, but when you actually are that, suddenly it's too much or they just don't follow through. So which one is it? Because right now it feels like I did everything I was supposed to do and somehow ended up in a worse position. I've even asked myself if maybe I expect too much now, but I really don't think wanting effort, consistency, and ambition is unrealistic. That feels like the bare minimum. I just don't understand how I can clearly be at a higher level than before, but nothing around me is reflecting that. And before anyone says it, no, I'm not lowering my standards just to make things easier. I'd rather be alone than go backwards. I just didn't expect leveling up to feel like this. It's fine to outgrow someone and leave them, but withholding intimacy as a weapon to make them improve isn't the way to go about it, especially to someone you love. The girls in the comments are agreeing with her completely.